you're anything like me or thousands of other people across the internet, you're probably looking at that Fuji X100V and you're thinking, I want a piece of that. Well, why wouldn't you? It's basically the Henry Cavill of cameras. It's fun and approachable, superbly well built, and to top it all off, it looks absolutely breathtaking in leather. Fuji has done an amazing job with that camera, and it's great at almost everything that it does. But as of recording this video, it's about 1,400 pounds. So is it worth it? Or, as of 2022, are you better off with one of these? This is the Fuji X100s. I bought this model new in 2013, so I've had it for 10 years. I've actuated the shutter about 25,000 times, and today I'm going to be telling you the good, the bad, and the ugly of the Fuji X100s. Because I want to make this as objective as possible, I'm going to start off with the bad stuff about this camera. All of the bad things about this camera revolve around one idea, and that is, it's old. The camera kind of feels a little bit sluggish to use. Everything takes like a split second longer than modern cameras, but not enough that you're going to get slowed down when you shoot. The focus takes half a second longer than something like the Fuji X100V, for instance. The autofocus is definitely something that you get used to, and you start preempting the moment before you actually take the picture. But if you're someone who likes to use manual focus, there are two assistants in this camera that help you. The first one is the rangefinder splitty focus image thing that all rangefinders have. And the second one is peaking. But as I said before, this is an old camera, and both of those things are not as reliable as modern iterations of those focusing assistants. So I usually keep it on autofocus and I deal with the delay. So a lot of the digital stuff in this camera just takes a little bit longer than what you're used to. If you do bursts, they take a little bit longer to write to the memory card. And if you quickly want to preview, everything takes a split second to load before you actually get into it. The lens that comes with the Fuji X100s isn't their best in the X100 lineup. I think they replaced the lens in the F or the V, and the new one is much better than the old one in terms of edge-to-edge sharpness and other things like chromatic aberration and all that stuff. Obviously, they've improved the lens system over time, but this one still packs a punch, and I hope the results can speak for themselves. After 10 years of use, the camera does show some wear and tear, but this is heavy use. The battery inside the housing is actually clipped in with this orange little clip here, and after a while it kind of loosens. In the case where the battery loosens from the housing, the camera actually bricks up and won't let you take a photograph. So all you have to do is open the battery housing and then push the battery in, but that's really just my use of the camera and what that's yielded. It's worth mentioning that if you shoot Fuji recipes, or if your intention is to use those recipes on this camera, you can't. The baseline for a lot of the popular Fuji recipes is a film simulation called Classic Chrome, which the X100s doesn't have. So you're not going to be able to recreate things like X-Chrome or Ektar or even Kodachrome from the Fuji recipes. If you do want to do that, I know that's a niche within a niche, but the newer models will be better for you. Before we proceed, I would like to humbly thank the members of the Film Fam over at my Buy Me a Coffee for sponsoring this episode. If you would like to be as cool as the Film Fam and either donate a roll of film to the channel or even support me on a monthly basis, you can do so by following the link in the description box below the like button. And now it's time to talk about all of the things that I love about the X100s. Those things can be divided up into three different categories: the look, the feel, and the results. Firstly, this camera is incredibly sexy. The designers at Fuji really knew what they were doing when they combined the classic nostalgia of a film camera with the benefits of a digital body. Pure genius. And the fact that they've stuck to this design for every single iteration of the X100 lineup really shows how timeless this design for a camera really is. I love the way that it looks, and so do many people who actually see me shooting with this, and they all think it's a film camera, so I think that's a good thing. And just kind of puts the idea that a DSLR is the be-all and end-all of digital cameras to bed. Finally, cameras can look sexy, and this is a pure example of that. The second thing that draws me to using this camera more than almost all of my other ones is really the way that it feels. The whole experience is designed around an old classical film camera. So you've got your aperture ring on the lens, you've got a dial at the top here for shutter speed and exposure compensation. And just in general, the use of this rangefinder digital / analog system is really just lots of fun. The whole experience is a lot more tactile. Get to feel the camera as you're using it, and switching the dials is relatively easy. It's just a lot of fun to use because it takes all of the old ideas of a tactile film shooting experience and combines it with the digital convenience of the modern era. I'm going to leave the specs for the people who like to whip them out and measure them. But there's three things about this camera that set it apart from all of the other digital cameras that I use. The first, and you'll have to check me on this, but apparently this was one of the first cameras with an optical and electronic rangefinder built into it. What that means is when I flip this switch on the front of the camera, I go between the electronic view through the lens and then through the optical view through the rangefinder over here. Pretty cool. The next thing about this camera that I use all the time is the built-in ND. I was shocked to find out that this camera had one, and I use it almost all the time when I shoot in daylight with this camera. It's a feature that is in this camera that I wish was in all of my cameras. So take note, Fuji, the X-T4 doesn't have one. So they really struck gold with the ND inside this, and I hope it's in the new X100V. I actually don't know. I'm pretty sure it is. After these 10 years of use, I will have you know that the battery on this camera is incredible. It's lasted me on good times several days of the week on full charge. I have never had to buy another battery for this camera, and I think that that's a huge testament to the actual battery life. This naturally brings me to the last thing that I love about the X100s, and that is the results. For a 16 megapixel, 23mm rangefinder system, the results are simply incredible. You know, when I was writing my review for the X100s in 2022, I left all of the ugly parts till the end, hoping that by then something would emerge that kind of turned my stomach about the X100s. And you know, I couldn't find anything. This is one of the best digital cameras I've ever shot with. It's a perfect blend of nostalgia that doesn't last 5 minutes long and the convenience of the digital era in one body. It's got a special place in camera history. It embodies the idea of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Because they got it right more than 10 years ago when they first made this entire series. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that, of course, the X100s is worth it in 2022. But even if you bought anything from the X100 lineup, I'm pretty sure you're going to be happy. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it helped you make a purchasing decision. I'm O'Neill, and I will see you in the next video. I know it's been a month since I have uploaded a video. I apologize for that. But thank you everyone for sticking around and watching the channel while I've been gone. I have 3 additional videos that I've already shot in France, ready to edit. So look forward to those in the future. I'll see y'all in the next one.